It's Monday, which means we have new rankings across Iowa for high school football, this time with Class 3A. Again, each class will have their own separate video on our YouTube channel, so go ahead and check all those out. But without a doubt, without any further ado, let's get into Class 3A's top 16, starting with 16 through 11. Grinnell makes their debut into our top 16. They're new. They picked up a win against Center Point Urbana 14-3. Also making their top 16 debut, Carroll, the Tigers, they get a nice 20-0 shutout victory over 2A's number 4, then number 4, Greene County. Greene County dropped to number 6, but without a doubt, a good win for Carroll as they make their debut in our ranks. Central DeWitt, they drop 4 spots. They lose to North Scott 34-7. Not really time to panic, though, because North Scott is a top team in Class 4A, so Central DeWitt will drop for now, but not a terrible loss by any means. Hampton Dumont Cal, they stay the same. They stay at number 13. They beat Iowa Falls Alden 42-20. Also staying at their same spot as last week is Benton at number 12. They beat Vinton Shellsburg 49-0. Rounding out 16 through 11 is Solon. They lost to Assumption 34-7. They will drop 3 spots, but we'll look to get back on track this week. But let's head into our top 10 through 6. So starting at number 10, Nevada, the defense came out and performed in their week 1 against West Marshall. This is a team that was extremely good last year, and they returned some key pieces, so they'll move up 1 spot into our top 10 as the Cubs look to continue on a great season this week. Number 9, the biggest riser in our Class 3A polls, Assumption. They had the most notable victory again, and therefore they rose the most, picking up a nice win against Solon. They won pretty convincingly, 34-7. Angelo Jackson, he had 33 carries for 221 yards and 3 touchdowns in that one. At number 8, also moving up a spot, is Atlantic. They kicked the season off against an opponent in Clark that's no pushover by any means. The Clark team brought back 2 top receivers in Class 3A, but Atlantic took care of business, scoring 47 in the process. Our Class 3A ranker is going to look for this team and possibly rise throughout the ranks as a top 5 team. And how about quarterback Zayden Parker, the sophomore? He completed just 7 passes on the day, but 5 of them went for touchdowns. That's not too bad, and that's pretty efficient right there. Number 7, holding ground from last week, Creston. Creston has had a recent history of success, having over 500 win percentage in the last 6 out of 10 years. They had a decent season last year and bring back a lot of key players from last season, including running back Brennan Hayes, who rushed for 1,338 yards last season. He rushed for 228 in their week 1 debut and is a key component to the squad in the coming weeks. Also holding ground is number 6, Independence. Quarterback E.J. Miller was a story in this one. 19 for 27 for 273 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. Extremely impressive debut for Independence as they picked up a win over North Fayette Valley, scoring 50 points. Also holding ground is Williamsburg. They picked up a convincing win against a well-respected 1A team in West Branch. Ended up 42-14 in that one. Although Williamsburg is making their debut in Class 3A, they did play a smaller team, but they're a team to look out for in the coming weeks. As I noticed, I'm talking about a top 5 team. I don't have it pulled up yet, so here we go. Top 5, Williamsburg. Just talked about them, but we'll move on to number 4, Webster City. They showed their true colors against Fort Dodge after only 2 completions. Running back Jackson Cherry picked up right where he left off, racking up 266 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. This is going to be a pattern for this offense. Obviously, Webster City loves to run the ball, and they return one of the more dominant running backs in the state. So look for Jackson Cherry and company to continue to pile up the rushing yards and not pile up the pass attempts. But that's just the brand of football they play, and it works as they pick up a nice win over Fort Dodge. Number 3 is Harlan. They drop a spot after losing kind of a heartbreaker to Lewis Central, 4A's Lewis Central, that is. And that game really kind of got shadowed because of the Ankeny Centennial, the classic that happened there. But this was a really good game between Harlan and Lewis Central. Harlan got out early. I think it was 12-14 nothing, and Lewis Central came back. But it was really just a gritty, hard-nosed game between those two. And although Harlan's losing their stars, as everyone's talked about, Tegan Casper, Aiden Hall, all those guys, Connor Frame, this team's going to be tough to beat, and they proved it in week 1, hanging with a top team in 4A. So look for Harlan to get back on track and stay in the top 5 for most of the year, if I could assume. But moving up, taking their spot at number 2 is Humboldt. The team is coming back off back-to-back 10-plus win seasons, kind of a sneaky program out there, and and Western Iowa, and they start on the right foot yet again this season, hunting their third straight state appearance. They get a great win versus a solid Spencer team who was 7-3 last year. Again, Humboldt, no Lance Kuhn in the book, so not sure if he's dealing with an injury or whatnot, but Humboldt picks up a nice 20-3 win in week 1, and they're really one of the teams that's going to look to compete with Mount Vernon this year in a Class 3A. But speaking of Mount Vernon, they hold down the number 1 spot. Again, it looks like all number 1 teams are holding down their spot this week. And going into the season, Mount Vernon, they were the clear front runner in this class as the top team. They returned a ton as a runner-up last year, and they have shown just to be as impressive as we thought with a win over a 2A team, really a rout over a really good 2A team. And Joey Romberg and company are going to look to rack up some wins this season, and they're going to really be solidifying themselves as the number 1 spot, and they did just that this week. But we'll see how they can continue through non-district play. But that was our top 16 for Class 3A. Again, we've got all classes on our YouTube page, all 7 classes, so feel free to go through, check those out. We're going to be working on getting you guys some video content on YouTube, but be sure to give us a follow at IA Football and all our other social channels. But we'll see you guys next week.